The dining hall at Crestwood Academy was a cathedral of privilege, its chandeliers glinting like frozen tears above polished mahogany tables. Laughter and clinking glasses filled the air, but for Elias Torres, the weight of every stare was heavier than the tray he carried. At 25, the son of the school's head cook, he'd learned to navigate this world of wealth with a quiet defiance, his heart pounding as he served dessert to a table of sneering elites. Elias's dark eyes flickered toward the head of the table, where Julian Carver lounged like a king. At 26, Julian was the golden boy of Crestwood, tall, blonde, with a smile that could charm or cut. Tonight it was the latter. "Hey, cook's kid," Julian drawled, his voice slicing through the chatter. "Bet your dad's proud, watching you scurry around like a busboy. What's it like being the help in a place like this?" The table erupted in laughter, forks pausing mid-bite as eyes locked on Elias. He froze, the tray trembling in his hands. 5 years ago, he'd been a student here, scraping by on a scholarship, dodging taunts like Julian's. Now, working to support his dad after a heart attack, Elias was back in this gilded cage, serving the same people who'd mocked him for being poor, for being Latino, for being different. He'd come out at 18, and Crestwood hadn't let him forget it. But tonight, something in Julian's smirk pushed him past silence. "I'm proud of my dad," Elias said, his voice steady but low, like a gathering storm. "He works harder than anyone here. Can you say the same, Julian?" The dining hall went quiet, the air thick with shock. Julian's grin faltered, but only for a moment. "Oh, look, the gay cook's son has a spine," Julian shot back, leaning forward. "What's next? You gonna cry about how tough it is to be you?" Snickers rippled through the crowd, but Elias didn't flinch. He set the tray down, his movements deliberate, and stepped closer to Julian's table. "I don't cry about it," Elias said, his voice rising just enough to carry. "I live it, every day, and I'm still here. Can you handle that kind of weight? Or do you just hide behind your trust fund?" A gasp swept the room. Julian's face reddened, his charm crumbling under the weight of Elias's words. The moment stretched, taut as a wire. Then, from the back of the hall, a slow clap broke the silence. Marcus Reed, a 25-year-old black student with a quiet intensity, stood up. His short dreadlocks framed a face that held both pride and defiance. "Damn, Elias," Marcus said, his voice warm. "You just said what we're all thinking." The room buzzed, some students nodding, others shifting uncomfortably. Julian's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. Elias's heart raced as he met Marcus's gaze. They'd been friends since freshman year, two outsiders in a sea of wealth. Marcus, a foster kid who'd fought his way into Crestwood on sheer brilliance, had always had Elias's back. But lately, their late-night talks in the library, their shared laughter over bad coffee, felt like something more, something neither had dared name. As Elias turned back to the kitchen, his dad, Miguel, caught his eye from the doorway. At 50, Miguel's face was lined with years of labor, but his smile was fierce with pride. Elias felt a surge of strength. He wasn't just the cook's son. He was Elias Torres, and he was done hiding. The next morning, Seattle's autumn chill wrapped around Crestwood's campus, the Space Needle a faint silhouette against the foggy skyline. Elias was wiping down tables in the empty dining hall when Marcus slipped in, his flannel shirt untucked, a nervous energy in his steps. "You were fearless last night," Marcus said, his voice low. "I've never seen Julian shut up like that." Elias laughed, but it was shaky. "I was terrified. just done being their punching bag. He paused, his hands stilling on the cloth. Thanks for having my back, Marcus. Always. Marcus's eyes softened. Always, he echoed, stepping closer. The air between them felt charged, like the moment before a storm breaks. Elias's breath caught as Marcus's hand brushed his. A fleeting touch that sent warmth through him. You're not alone in this, you know, Marcus said. Not with me. Before Elias could respond, the door swung open and Julian strode in, his usual swagger replaced by something colder. Well, isn't this cozy? He sneered, his eyes flicking between them. The cook's kid and the charity case. You two planning a revolution or just what? Holding hands now. Elias's face burned, but Marcus stepped forward, his voice calm but sharp. Back off, Julian. You don't get to control this space. Julian's smirk returned, but there was a crack in it, a flicker of something like fear. He turned and left without another word. Marcus looked at Elias, his expression softening again. He's not worth it, he said. But you are. Elias's heart pounded, the words sinking in. He wanted to say something, to bridge the gap between them. But the weight of years, fear, shame, hope, held him back. That night, Elias found Marcus at their usual spot, a bench under the cherry blossoms by Lake Washington. The city lights shimmered across the water, and the air smelled of damp earth and possibility. Marcus was sketching in his notebook, his pencil moving with quiet precision. Elias sat beside him, their shoulders brushing. You ever think about getting out of here? Elias asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Away from all this noise? Marcus set his pencil down, his eyes meeting Elias's. Every day. But not without you. The words hung between them, raw and unguarded. Elias's throat tightened, his hand trembling as he reached for Marcus's. Their fingers intertwined, and for the first time, Elias felt like he could breathe. The weeks that followed were a blur of stolen moments. Late-night talks, shared glances, hands brushing in passing. But Crestwood wasn't a kind place for vulnerability. Whispers followed Elias and Marcus through the halls, and Julian's taunts grew sharper, more personal. You two think you're untouchable now? He'd hissed one afternoon, cornering Elias in the kitchen. This school doesn't belong to people like you. Elias had wanted to fight back, but his dad's voice echoed in his mind. Pick your battles, Mijo. They don't define you. So he walked away, but the weight of Julian's words lingered, a reminder of how fragile their place here was. One evening, Marcus invited Elias to a campus open mic night at the student union. The room was packed, fairy lights strung across the ceiling, casting a warm glow over the crowd. Marcus took the stage, his voice steady as he read a poem about growing up in foster care, about finding home in unexpected places. His eyes found Elias in the crowd, and every word felt like a confession. When Marcus finished, the room erupted in applause, but Julian's voice cut through. Nice sob story, Reed, he called from the back. You and your boyfriend gonna cry together now? The crowd went silent, the air heavy with tension. Elias's fists clenched, but Marcus didn't flinch. Instead, Marcus stepped back to the mic, his gaze locked on Julian. You talk a big game, Carver, he said, his voice calm but piercing. But you're scared. Scared of anyone who doesn't fit your perfect little world. I feel sorry for you. The crowd murmured, some nodding, others whispering. Julian's face twisted, but he stormed out, leaving a stunned silence in his wake. Elias met Marcus backstage, his heart racing. You didn't have to do that, he said, his voice thick with emotion. Yes, I did, Marcus replied, his hand finding Elias's. For both of us. Winter settled over Seattle, the campus blanketed in frost. Elias and Marcus grew closer, their bond a quiet rebellion against Crestwood's cruelty. But the pressure was mounting. Julian's cliques spread rumors, and Elias overheard professors whispering about distractions in the dining hall. His dad's health was faltering again, and the weight of it all felt suffocating. One night, Elias found Marcus at the lake, staring at the water. I got an offer, Marcus said, his voice heavy. A job in San Francisco, tech startup. It's everything I've worked for. Elias's stomach dropped. San Francisco was a world away, a dream Marcus deserved, but one that might pull them apart. You have to take it, Elias said, though the words tore at him. You fought too hard to let it go. Marcus turned to him, his eyes glistening. I don't want to leave you here. Not with Julian, not with all of this. He stepped closer, his voice breaking. I love you, Elias. I've loved you since that first night in the library, when you laughed at my terrible coffee. Elias's breath caught, tears stinging his eyes. I love you too, he whispered, the words spilling out like a dam breaking. They kissed under the cherry blossoms, the world fading away until it was just them, their hearts laid bare. The final gala of the semester was Crestwood's crown jewel, a glittering event where alumni and students mingled under chandeliers. Elias was serving, his dad in the kitchen, when Julian approached, his eyes gleaming with malice. You think you've won? He said, loud enough for the room to hear. You're still just the gay cook's son, and Marcus is just a charity case. This place will never be yours. The room fell silent, every eye on Elias. He felt the weight of years, every taunt, every sneer, every moment he'd been made to feel small. But then he saw Marcus, standing at the edge of the crowd, his expression fierce with pride. And behind him, Miguel, his dad, nodding with quiet strength. Elias straightened, his voice clear and unshaken. You're right, Julian. I'm the cook's son, and I'm gay, and I'm proud of every damn part of me, because I've fought for it, I've loved for it, and I'm not alone. He glanced at Marcus, then at his dad. You can't take that away from me, or any of us. The room was still, the air electric. Then Miguel stepped forward, his apron still on, and began to clap. Marcus joined in, then others, students, alumni, even a few professors. The applause grew, drowning out Julian's stunned silence. He stood frozen, then turned and left, his power shattered. As the gala ended, Elias and Marcus slipped outside, the Seattle skyline sparkling in the distance. We're gonna be okay, Marcus said, pulling Elias close. Together. Elias nodded, his heart full. They'd face San Francisco, Crestwood, the world. Together. Love wasn't just their rebellion. It was their victory.